What's going on, everybody? So excited today. I picked up one of my 3 Grail cards. I finally got one of them. And you guys have heard me. I've been talking, I mean, what is my channel now? About 20 months old. For the last 20 months, I've been talking about the 3 cards I've long wanted. It's the 1954 Topps Ernie Banks, the 1957 Topps Brooks Robinson, and the 1948 Bowman Yogi Berra. And the reason I want those cards is I love the person on the card. I love the picture on the card. And I just think that the image on each of them, there's something beautiful about them. And I mean, you can ask my dad. Like, I've been talking about these 3 cards for a really, really long time. And the way I acquired the card is not through a purchase. I didn't just save up money and decide to go out and buy one. That's not what happened. What happened was I had a trade. I made a trade and somebody approached me for a card that I had that I showed on my channel. And it was a very cool card, no doubt about it. And I just, the reasoning that he gave on why he wanted the card is, the card belonged in his collection. Let's say that. And so then what we needed to do was work out, what is the trade going to be for? What am I going to receive in exchange? So in order to understand what happened, I'm going to take you back to a video I did a couple of months ago about a pickup that I had. And the viewer saw the video and reached out to me by email inquiring if I'd be willing to trade the card. Let me take you back and show you the clip from the video where all that took place. Check this out first. You guys know by now that I collect Yankee captain cards. I've been putting together a run where I'd like to have one of every Yankee captain and have them displayed together from the first on. And so let's take a look at the Yankee captain list, and then I'm going to walk you through this pickup. Let's check it out. So this is a list of all the Yankee captains since way back before they even called them the Yankees. And you can see there, one of them is Roger Peckinpah. He was a shortstop and the captain from 1914 to 1921. So I've been looking for a Peckinpah card for a while, like well over a year. And this one showed up as a new listing on eBay, a 1928 Tharps. No, I've never owned a Tharps. I've never had a Tharps. I don't know a ton about them. So I immediately start texting a friend who does know a lot about these. And I'm asking him about them. And I'm like, this is a PSA 2, but it's got all this like staining on it. It's got like yellow staining. And then I pull up the serial number on the PSA website. And it says it's a Pop 1. A Pop 1. In the meantime, my friend is texting me back. He says, yeah, the yellow staining is from the ice cream. Most of them have some of that staining on it. So that's pretty normal because kids were handed an ice cream cone and a card, and the card got covered in ice cream. So then I look at the full Pop report. There's only been one of these Roger Peckinpahs ever graded by PSA. Ever. This is the only one. So the very, very next day, I get this email in my inbox. And I'll go ahead and put that on the screen here. And the email basically says, hey, Greg, I'm not trying to be offensive or intrude or anything, but I'd really like that Roger Peckinpah card. And the reason I'd like that card is because I'm trying to build the set. And I'm putting together a 28 Tharps complete set. And I have most of the cards, but I'm missing just a handful. Now, this is a PSA set registry set. They're all in PSA holders. And as I mentioned in the video and afterwards, you know, this card is, there's one of them. There's one. Now, there are 2 graded by SGC in existence and circulation, and then there's this one in PSA. And so if he's going to complete the set, he needs this one. And so I felt like, you know, this is a card that he's been searching for, that he really wants for his collection. And I just wanted a Roger Peckinpah card to add to my collection. And I think it would certainly be easier for me to find a different Roger Peckinpah than for him to find another Tharps, because there isn't one. So I responded and I basically said, yeah, you know, I'd be willing to trade it to you. There are a couple of cards that, you know, I would want it to be a meaningful card because this was kind of a meaningful pickup and it's a rare card, but I'll trade it to you. And so we kind of went back and forth via email about this potential trade and what would be a good trade option. And it kind of settled on, what about a 1915 Cracker Jack Roger Peckinpah? It's my favorite Peckinpah card. There's a lot more of those than there are of the Tharps. I go, it doesn't have to be a great one, just, you know, like a 2 or something, as long as it doesn't have any crazy distraction on it. And so he agreed. And so let's take a look here, though, because he sent me some of the information about his set registry. Let's take a look at his set registry and how complete his Tharps collection is compared to any other Tharps collection. Again, there aren't many of these at all, let alone enough to complete a set. So let's look at his PSA set registry and what he had at that point. All right, so you can see up at the top here on the PSA website, there are less than 300 total Tharps of all the cards, which is interesting. And if you scroll down, there's a lot of 1, pops and 2 pops and, very, very low population on every one of these cards. So if you were to get a complete set, it's not impossible, but it's pretty close to it. And you can see that there is just one of the Roger Peckinpah there in all grades. And it's definitely an undertaking to try to complete a set like this. But let's head over to the set registry. So you can see here the 1928 Tharps Ice Cream set registry. If you look at the top there, number 1, that's him. And he's 78.33% complete, which is incredible. Of, a set of 60 cards, and he even talks about there being 62 in his email. But there's 60 on the checklist, and he's got that high a percentage, and a lot of them are Pop 1, Pop 2, and he's obviously the number 1 rank. 78.33% complete is absolutely incredible. So having any part of helping with this is awesome. Okay, so he was on the search for a Cracker Jack Peckinpah. He wasn't having a lot of luck. There are a couple available, but they're really kind of overpriced. He put in for an auction. There was an auction, a heritage auction, that had one, and it sold for a lot because it was a high grade. Well, in the meantime, as all of this was happening, I went to the Strongsville show. And at the Strongsville show, a friend calls me over midway through the show. He goes, "Hey, Greg, I just bought you something." And I'm like, "Okay, awesome. So he says, I bought you this. Well, this is a Roger Peckinpah from the caramel set. And I've shown this. This is American caramel set. And you can even see on the team is on the back there, including Walter Johnson at the top. And so now for my Yankee captain run, I've got a Peckinpah. So now all of a sudden, I mean, it's a super generous gift. And now all of a sudden I'm thinking, well, I guess it doesn't have to be a Peckinpah. It could be some other card, but I want it to be kind of a special card because this has been kind of a whole thing. So we continue emailing back and forth, and I finally say, hey, you know, there's another card that I would be willing to make a trade for you. And I'm trying to be reasonable, you know. And the banks is a really expensive card. Like it's hard to find even, you know, like a 2.5 or a 2 for under $1,000. So I'm like, that's out. I can't ask for that. That's ridiculous. But I don't want to make this trade for just anything. So I decide, what about one of the others? So I kind of start looking around at the other couple of cards and see if there's one that's out there. And there was. So I sent him a couple of links and we kind of went back and forth. And I sent him 2 links for 2 of one of the cards that I specifically was interested in. And I didn't hear from him for a few days. And I'm thinking, oh, I must have asked for too much and he's not thrilled. So, which I understood. And then, you know, I have all these eBay saved searches. So what I decided to do is, you know, every day I look through my eBay saved searches. I look through my watch list. And then I look to see if anything from my watch list sold. Well, I looked and one of the cards from my watch list sold. And I was like, oh, man. I had 2 of this card that I really liked and was interested in. And one of them just sold. That sucks. Now there's only one of them. And then I thought, wait a second. I wonder if he bought it. So I went back and I checked my email. And I had an email from him. And it said, deal, done. I bought it. It's going to eBay authenticity guaranteed. Then it's to me. And then I'll mail it off. Done deal. So the deal was struck. And the card was on its way. And it was for one of my 3 Grail cards. Now, some people would say, Greg, you didn't do very well in this deal. You gave up a card that there's one of. A really rare card of a former, you know, league MVP. You should have kept that card. And the card that I'm trading for is a much more plentiful card. And then some other people would say, well, that Tharp's Peckinpah card, even though it's rare, it's not worth as much as the card that you're getting in return. So it's a great deal for you. I can tell you this. What I wanted was I wanted that Peckinpah to go to the person it should be with, who is the person building the set. That's where that card belonged. And in exchange, I just wanted a memorable card. And I wanted a memorable card with a memorable story of how I obtained it. And I think at the end of the day, you know, because we've been texting and stuff too, I think he's really happy that he got the card. I think he thinks it was a fair deal. I think I'm really happy because I got one of my Grails. And I think we're both really, I think it's one of these win-win deals. Now, I know a few of you have already clicked off going, well, he's obviously not going to show the card. So I give up. And some of you are going, well, what is it? Which one did you get? Show the card. All right. I'll show you the card. The card I got is this absolutely beautiful 1957 Brooks Robinson rookie card in a PSA 5. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can get a little bit of a better look at it. All right, so let's take a look at this beautiful card. I love his youthful appearance on the card. This set is a tough set. Centering is impossible. This is actually pretty darn well centered for a card from that set. I just think it's a beautiful image. And you can see the back here. Oh man, this thing is just awesome. And, you know, a 5 in this card is not a cheap card. You get into the 6 and the 7 and you're well over $1,000. It's just fantastic. Again, it's a pretty darn sharp card, all things considered. The image is super clean, all things considered. The corners are great. It's just fantastic. I'm so thrilled to have this thing. And you can see here on this pan over shot. This picture doesn't really do it justice, but I did want to give a little bit of a look. So you can see the corners are very nice. The image is super clean. I'm just thrilled. So what do you think? I got one of my Grails, and I got it in a trade. And it is quite the story of how that all played out. And never in a million years did I ever think that I would acquire this card in a trade with someone who watched one of my videos for a card that's a pop 1 that he needed for a set he's been building for a long time. But that's the community. The community is always looking out for each other. The community is smaller than we think. I mean, if I could post a video and somehow the person who really needed that card was watching the video, that's not a very big community. This is a tighter group of people in the vintage sports card community than I think that we realize. But at the end of the day, when I look at this, I just think it's perfect. The card was found. The card went to the guy who needed it for his set, who's working on this impossible, virtually impossible set to complete. And I got one of my Grail cards. And I'm absolutely pumped. And now I've got one down. I've got 2 to go. Hopefully at the National, I could take down one of the other 2.